Thank you once again for joining us for yet another great episode where today I want us to talk about how you can combat procrastination. So if you are a champion of just one more episode or just one more scroll, or maybe you want to maybe take 5-minute naps, but then you find yourself stretching to almost 3 hours later, it means that you've been procrastinating. So if any of those scenarios sound familiar to you, it's important that I tell you that procrastination is the chief enemy of productivity that plagues everyone, including me. I sometimes find myself struggling with procrastination, so you are not alone. There are so many people in the world who are struggling with procrastination, but in this episode I want to present to you tips and strategies and insights on how you can become better at combating procrastination and getting more productive in what you do. So what is procrastination? I hope you will get the value from this episode, and if it brings value to you, ensure that you like, subscribe, and even comment. You might be listening to this one as a podcast, or you might be listening to it on YouTube. Ensure that you subscribe and leave a comment. Ensure that you also tag a friend and share with them also, so that we can grow together. So what is procrastination? So procrastination is that act of voluntarily and unnecessarily postponing tasks despite knowing that it will have negative consequences. So procrastination is not really laziness, okay? Because procrastination, you are doing that voluntarily. You know what you are supposed to do. You know it is a must that you should do it, but you voluntarily do what? Avoid it. You postpone it unnecessarily. That's what we call procrastination. For example, you know that you must maybe clean your house. That's a responsibility that you must undertake. But you voluntarily postpone cleaning the house for 1 day, 2 days, even a week. That is what we call procrastination. It is an act of you do it voluntarily and unnecessarily, postponing tasks despite knowing that it will have negative consequences. But if we can put it in simpler terms, it is like putting things off for later, even when you know you should not. You know that you should not put things for later. You know that you are supposed to work on that thing or on some things, but you put them for a later time. And deep inside, you know you should not be doing so. That is what we call procrastination. You are doing it voluntarily. You know the consequences, you know the outcomes, but you voluntarily choose not to do it, to postpone that task for another maybe later time. So that is procrastination. And we said that procrastination is the chief enemy to progress and productivity in life. So how does what is the anatomy of procrastination? We have the delay. So the core of procrastination is the act of putting something off, often unnecessarily and for extended periods. It can manifest in various ways, like, for example, repeatedly hitting the snooze button, you know yourself, right? Scrolling through social media instead of working, or leaving a messy room for days. So that's the first part of procrastination. I'm giving you the anatomy of procrastination. So delay is a core part of procrastination. Number 2 is the awareness. So unlike forgetting, we are aware of the task and its impending deadline. So we understand the potential consequences of delay, yet we choose to delay anyway. All right? Then the last one, the last piece of the anatomy of procrastination is a self-defeat. Procrastination is ultimately self-defeating. It leads to missed deadlines, increased stress, diminished productivity, and increased feelings of guilt and shame. So that is the framework or the anatomy of procrastination. It survives on, or it deals with the delay. You delay voluntarily. The awareness, you are aware of that. Then we have the self-defeat. It leads to missed deadlines. You can never achieve anything positive through procrastination. You will always be defeated. And how will you be defeated? You'll have missed deadlines. You'll have increased your stress. You have diminished your productivity, and you increase your feelings of guilt and shame. So procrastination does not lead to anything positive in life. It leads to defeat. All right? So why do we procrastinate? Because we've said, and I started by saying that this is something that everybody experiences at some point in their lives, including me. So why do we procrastinate? What are some of the reasons as to why we postpone things voluntarily? All right? Remember, if you do not know a reason for something, it becomes very hard for you to do what? To overcome it, maybe, to juggle it, or to even combat it. All right? So let me give you a few reasons why we procrastinate. So we have emotional roadblocks is one of them. Emotional roadblocks. That includes what? Fear and anxiety, for example. So the dreaded task, so the task that you want to do might trigger fear of failure, rejection, or even success itself. This anxiety can be paralyzing, and that will lead us to avoid the task altogether. So we've talked of fear and anxiety. Remember, that falls under emotional roadblocks. We're talking of reasons why we procrastinate. We've said number one is because of the emotional roadblocks that we have. One of them is fear and anxiety. So we might fear the failure of us doing the thing. We might fear being rejected by others or our friends. We might even fear the success itself. It might overwhelm you. You might see the success that is coming to you, and then it overwhelms you. You start fearing it. So that anxiety can be paralyzing, and it can probably lead us to avoid the task altogether. Right? Still on emotional roadblocks, we have boredom and lack of interest. It's another cause under emotional roadblock. We can be bored. So it's true. Not all tasks are created equal. If something feels tedious or uninspiring, our motivation usually goes down, and it makes it very easy for us to seek out more engaging activities. Not all tasks are the same. Some will be tedious and they will not be inspiring to us. So that one becomes easier for us to shift our focus to something else. All right? So boredom and lack of interest. Number 3, still under emotional roadblocks, is perfectionism. So the quest to be flawless in executing what you want to do is a double-edged sword. So the fear of not meeting impossible standards can lead to endless revisions and ultimately can lead to procrastination. So that we want to be perfect in what we do. As we shall talk later on the types of procrastination or types of people that fall under procrastination, we'll see one of the categories is perfectionists. Perfectionists, they fear that they will not achieve the best, so they avoid it altogether. Okay, so those are 3 main causes that fall under emotional roadblocks. What about cognitive biases? That's another cause. Cognitive biases. Remember, when we talk of cognitive, we talk of the mental, the brain, the issues of the brain. So if cognitive biases is another cause. So in cognitive biases, we can talk of present bias. We tend to prioritize immediate gratification over long-term rewards. The perceived ease of indulging in instant pleasure outweighs the potential benefits of tackling the task at hand. So we always tend to prioritize things that give us immediate gratification. So we might forget or we might avoid doing an activity that is promising a long-term reward. We might procrastinate on it and focus on activities that give us immediate gratification. That's how we are as human beings, right? Then number 2, still on cognitive bias, we can talk of hyperbolic discounting. So the further away a deadline is, the less urgent it seems. This discounting of future consequences makes procrastination feel less risky at the present moment. You have a deadline that is set 2 months away. So you look at the time period that is required and seems ages. So that's what we are calling hyperbolic discounting. The further away a deadline is, the less urgent it seems. So if you have a task that has a very long deadline, probably we will procrastinate on it, right? Because it feels less risky. But in most cases, what do? We forget about the task that is that has a deadline of like 2 months to come. We forget about it. We only remember it when it's a few days. How does that lead? Poor quality, stress, burnout. These are things that we bring to ourselves. Then still on cognitive bias is the overestimation bias. Overestimation bias. We often overestimate the time and effort that is required for the task, and that leads to feeling of overwhelm and inaction. We try to overestimate. This task really demands a lot from me. So we overestimate the time and the effort that is required, even if the task simply needs less effort than you might even think. But we try to overestimate that this one seems like it wants to kill me. All right? So because of that, we overestimate the effort and the time that is required for the task, and that brings us feelings of overwhelm, and we do not act on it. All right? That's overestimation bias. That's another cause of procrastination. So that was category 2, the cognitive bias. Why don't you go to the last one? Poor planning and time management. That's another third category of why we procrastinate. Poor planning and time management. Still, I have 3 points on that. You have lack of clarity. So if you are unclear in the goals and objectives of a task that you want to do, it will make it difficult for you to get started. So if you do not have a roadmap, you will be feeling lost and unsure where to even begin. So if you lack clarity in what you want to do, definitely you will procrastinate, because you really don't know where to start, where to end. You don't know even how to start it. So such lack of clarity will bring procrastination. Okay? Still, we have procrastination spiral. It's another one under poor planning and management, another cause. Procrastination spiral. Putting things off can create a vicious cycle. The stress of looming deadlines and guilt of not accomplishing tasks can fuel further procrastination, making it harder to break free. So if you've so many tasks, you've procrastinated on this one task, you've another one, you've like 10 tasks that you've voluntarily postponed working on them, you'll be overwhelmed by the number of tasks that are awaiting you. And another task that comes along your way, you will definitely procrastinate on it. All right? The last one is distraction overload. That's still under poor planning and time management. So distraction overload means that, for example, in our constantly connected world, distractions are everywhere, from social media, notifications, to allure of enduring scrolling, scrolling. These distractions can easily derail our focus and derail our productivity. That's why deep work is very key. Now, deep work is also a title of a book by Cal Newport. We still have a summary of it. You can check, still in our website. We still have a summary as a video or audio form. You can have a look at it also. So deep work, according to Cal Newport, says that deep work is a skill that is becoming extinct. It's becoming rare for you or for us, for humanity, to focus on a task without divided attention and produce something that is significant, something that is quality, and something that is, or unleash our true potential in a task that we do. So that's why he advocates in that book why we should and how we can develop deep work in whatever you'll do. So you can have a look at it. We still have a summary of it. So if you understand those courses that I've given you, I've given you 3 categories, but each category had 3 courses. So I've given you like 9 courses or reasons why we procrastinate. So if you understand the why behind procrastination, that is the first step to overcoming it. So you must understand, why am I procrastinating? Among the 9 reasons that I've given you, which one is your topmost, or which ones are affecting you? If you understand the why, then that becomes your first step. So if you identify those triggers and thought patterns that lead you to delay, now you can develop effective strategies to combat them, as I'll tell you before we wind up this episode. But before we go to that, let me give you 6 types of procrastinators. There are 6 types of procrastinators. So they include, just to mention them very fast, you have perfectionists, you have dreamers, you have warriors, from the word worry, you have defiers, crisis makers, and overdoers. So those are the 6 categories of procrastinators. The first step was understanding the why. Why do we procrastinate? Now, you now want to understand which category you fall under. There are 6 types, or which type you fall under. There are 6 types of procrastinators. Are you a perfectionist? Are you a dreamer? Are you a warrior, a defier, a crisis maker, or an overdoer? So, very fast, what are these 6 types? The perfectionists, the motto of perfectionists is, we do it right or don't do it at all. Do it right or don't do it at all. That is the motto of a perfectionist type of a procrastinator. So those people are they have a meticulously organized desk, they have color-coded to-do lists, and are in a constant state of self-criticism because they are looking for perfectionism. Nothing like mediocrity appears anywhere in their dictionary. Right? And their reasoning is that they fear failure and believe that anything less than perfect is unacceptable. So, and then what is their final outcome? Such people, they set realistic goals, and because of now the fear of failure and not perfectionism, they procrastinate. They embrace perfectionism, but you can learn from that. You can overcome that, right? Let's go to the dreamer. So what is the motto of the dreamers? So dreamers motto, they think that, why do it now when I can imagine a better way? That's a dreamer. Does that sound like you? Why do it now when you can imagine of a better way to do it? So these people, the dreamers, their heads are always in clouds. They are lost in a world of creative ideas and grand plans. They have all ideas to do a certain task in a better way. They have a plan. They have so many plans. Their mind is full of clouds of plans and ideas. Their reasoning is that they get overwhelmed by details and prefer the excitement of brainstorming to the tedium of execution. They don't execute finally. They prefer the excitement of brainstorming creative ideas, but finally they don't execute. But we can overcome that by doing what? Breaking down ideas into actionable steps, setting deadlines, and rewarding ourselves for completing tasks. So that's the second category. The third one is the warrior, from the word worry. So what is the motto of the warrior? What if I mess up? What if it all goes wrong? That's a motto of the warrior. Somebody who is worrying. What if I mess up? If you look at that one and perfectionists, probably they are closely related, right? So the warriors think of what if it goes wrong. So they are constantly fretting and thinking of the worst case scenarios, and they are paralyzed by analysis. That's what we call analysis paralysis. Analysis paralyzes them. So they fear negative consequences, and they are easily discouraged by potential setbacks and obstacles. They try to think of any potential setbacks and obstacles that could find them along the way, and they avoid that. They are discouraged by that. So if such a person, you tell them of a setback, they'll be discouraged in whatever they were supposed to do, and that's how they procrastinate. They can overcome that by challenging negative thoughts, focusing on positive aspects of the task, and practicing mindfulness to reduce anxiety. Number 4 is the defier. The defier, from the word they defy rules, defy orders, and so on. So the defier's motto is, make me do it, I'll show them. Make me do it, I'll show them. So these guys are rebellious and independent. They resist authority and deadlines out of the sense of defiance. They feel controlled and resentful of external pressure that leads to passive-aggressive procrastination. You're given a deadline, maybe by your boss, but because of the defiance, I'll not do it. What will they do? What will the boss do? So because of that, passive aggressiveness leads to procrastination. So they can overcome that by identifying the underlying reasons for defiance, find their own motivation for the task, and negotiate deadlines with flexibility. Number 5, we have the crisis maker. It's another type of a procrastinator, the crisis maker. The crisis maker motto is, pressure makes diamonds, right? Pressure makes diamonds. So they thrive in chaos. These guys thrive in chaos. They wait until the last minute to get anything done. They are fueled by adrenaline and panic. That's how they survive. They thrive in chaos. I don't know if you are such kind of a person. They wait until the last minute to get anything done. They need that adrenaline and panic so that they can do it. So they find motivation in urgency and excitement. They believe their best work comes under pressure. Remember their motto? Pressure makes diamonds, right? But these guys can overcome that by developing a good time management skills, set achievable deadlines, and reward themselves for completing tasks early. The overdoer is the last type of procrastinator. The overdoer's motto is, more is better always. More is better always. So they are always juggling multiple tasks at once, filling every minute of their day with activity, and sacrificing sleep and well-being. They fear idleness. They don't want to be idle, and they feel the need to be constantly productive, and that automatically leads to burnout and inefficiency. But they can overcome that by learning to delegate, prioritize tasks, set boundaries, and schedule time for relaxation and self-care. Now, we began by knowing why we procrastinate. We gave several reasons. After knowing the why, now you've known out of the 6 types of procrastinators, where do you fall under? All right. So, of course, there are consequences of procrastination. We talked about, such as stress and anxiety, missed opportunities, damaged relationships, diminished self-esteem, financial woes, health risks, wasted time, and unfulfilled potential. I'll not go into detail of each of the consequences, because I know maybe they are self-explanatory, and if you need an in-depth overview of the consequences of procrastination, we have a summary we have a blog post. We have a blog post in our website, that is vidanmeds.com/blog. Then you can search for how to combat procrastination. Still, I have a link to the same below the description. You can go and read for yourself in depth on those consequences. Because of the interest of time, I want to go on some other things before maybe we can wind up. So you'll go into our website and look at the consequences, such as stress and anxiety, missed opportunities, damaged relationships, diminished self-esteem, financial woes, health risks, and wasted time. So, and we also have unfulfilled potential. Please, will you go to our website or visit our blog and have an in-depth of that? We'll really appreciate. So remember, laziness and procrastination are somehow related, but they are not the same. So while both can lead to inaction, that is laziness and procrastination is about delaying tasks due to fear, anxiety, or overwhelm, while laziness is a lack of motivation and effort altogether. So that's where we cross the line. Laziness is a lack of motivation and effort altogether. But procrastination is you delay it voluntarily, right? You have the energy to do it, but you choose to delay it. You choose to postpone it. So I've given you a comparison between procrastination and laziness still in a blog post. You'll allow me go very fast and give you that assignment because of the interest of time. Okay. Now, what are some of the practical tips on how you can combat procrastination? Let me just go through them very fast. I may just mention them. Please, I'm hoping that you'll go to our website and read an in-depth read on that. So we have, you can work on your time management, like time boxing, the Pomodoro technique. Do you know the Pomodoro technique? That's a technique that you work for 25 minutes. That is, you work in 25-minute intervals with short breaks in between, and that will keep you fresh and prevent burnout. It's a series of sprints. Imagine it's a series of sprints instead of a marathon, making the task feel less daunting, right? So we have, can break down large tasks into smaller and more manageable steps. You can focus on completing just one step at a time. Another way is to find a distraction-free environment. Another one is utilize productivity tools and apps. There are so many. I've given quite a number of them in our blog. Another one is celebrate your accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem, because that motivates you. Set up a reward system for completing tasks. Be kind to yourself and believe in your ability to succeed. Those are tips on how you can combat procrastination. Embrace time boxing, the Pomodoro technique, break down large tasks into smaller and manageable steps, focus on completing just one step at a time, find a distraction-free environment, utilize productivity tools and apps, celebrate your accomplishments no matter how small they may look like, set up a reward system for completing tasks, and be kind to yourself and believe in your ability to succeed. Right? So I've not gone into an in-depth of each. Please, in our blog, you'll find it. So let me give you 5 books that you can, if you want to deepen your knowledge on overcoming or conquering procrastination monster. These are books. Eat That Frog, 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Done by Brian Tracy. Number 2, The War of Art, Break Through Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battle by Steven Pressfield. Number 3, Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Greg. Then you have Deep Work, Rules of Focused Success in a Distracted World by Cal Newport. We have number 5, The Now Habit, a strategic program for overcoming procrastination and enjoying guilt-free play by Neil Fio. So that's the end of this episode. Thank you once again for joining us, and thank you for listening to us up to this point. Ensure that you tag a friend and support us in whichever way that you might feel that could be a blessing to us. Until next time, bye bye for now.